All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
How's it going, Jerry?
It's going well, man. Getting into this new segment, really feeling it out. I don't think we've landed on a name, but big picture, we're solving problems, right?
Yeah, we got
We
problems. You got problems. Everyone's got their problems.
What are your garage gym athlete problems? So we emailed it out. We asked in the Facebook group. And I mean, I don't know how many I have sitting here on my desktop, but it's got to be a solid 100 I'm looking at. I don't know. It's quite a bit. And they're all like legit things. You know, having been a garage gym athlete for over a decade, I'm like, yeah, been there. Yep. I know what you're talking about. So we're just going to, use our, let's say, expertise from either having experienced ourselves or really having talked with hundreds of athletes and been doing this for a long time. If we have any sort of tips or suggestions for you. And today we are starting with the no cardio equipment and can't run problem. So you run into this issue if I think probably in the winter time for people who live in really cold climates. So you don't have a rower, you don't have a treadmill, you don't have anything like that. And you just can't go outside to run because weather's a problem. Now, I already have a little bit of an issue with the mindset there. You can always go outside and run, right? Like you can always, we have pictures of garage gym athletes running in blizzards. But I get it. We don't all want to do that. And so I'm not gonna throw any shade more than I already have, but there always is an option to go outside. But when you don't have any cardio equipment and you can't run, what do you do, Joe? What's your go-to here?
Oh man, so we actually ran into this somewhat. We were in the hotel for when we came to Bahrain. We were quarantined. We had to stay in our hotel room for 2 weeks. It's a hotel room. I mean, it was a 2-bedroom big hotel room, but still there was no equipment, no nothing. And while I can do, push up, squat grids, thing, we had resistance bands, you couldn't really do any kind of cardio. So yeah, burpees was definitely the first thing that comes to mind for longer sustained things. For the hotel, I did think we did 40 minutes of just like random body weight zone 2, but for hours, it's definitely one that people don't like to hear the answers because I don't know what answers people are expecting to hear when it's like, hey, I can't run and I don't have any cardio machine. What should I do? I mean, you pretty much expect burpees or jump rope. But it also depends on the biggest thing is depends on the workout, depends on the stimulus. If we're doing any sort of sprints, burpees, I wouldn't say that is the way to go. You can do tuck jumps and broad jumps are the way to go for their probably 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds if you keep power up with those. But anything over that, it's probably going to be jump rope, burpees, is basically, maybe jump squats. You can do a little bit for like almost like a Tabata,
If you want to get aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'll throw this into the lens of our programming because if you're stuck in a hotel for a week or whatever, and you're not following our programming and you're just kind of like, I just need to get something done. Yeah, you could probably just do some circuit training, quote unquote CrossFit style, where you're just, putting multiple things back to back to back. And then the fact that you're just doing that, can turn it into more of a conditioning workout. But if we're moving more towards like, no, I'm a garage gym athlete. You guys are programming 50-minute zone 2. I can't do that because I can't go outside. I can't run. I get it. So yeah, what Joe said is definitely the best 2 options, like a burpee or a jump rope. I think jump rope is going to be the better option there because you could do single unders or double unders if you want to get a little bit more intensity. And there are a bunch of different things you can. But then if you run into, I can't run, I have no cardio equipment, and I can't go, and I have low ceilings, now you can't jump rope. And so you're running into a lot of problems. And then the answer becomes burpee, but it's not just burpee. I think an often overlooked exercise that is used a lot in the military, the jumping jack. We can't forget about the jumping jack, man. It's I think the jumping jack is a great zone 2 activity. It doesn't take a lot but it can still get your heart rate going. But I've never done jumping jacks to where I'm like, I can't breathe anymore. Like, it's a fairly easy thing to do. So I think if you had to do, I don't know if I could do 50 minutes of zone 2 jumping jacks, but
Yeah.
if I was actually in the situation I had to do 50 minutes of zone 2 or any sort of zone 2, I would probably switch, to be honest. Just I mean, running outside for an hour or whatever, that's boring no matter what. But if I was stuck in my garage and I didn't have any other thing to do, I would probably try and do, okay, I'm going to do like 5 minutes of jump rope. I'm going to do 5 minutes of jumping jacks, 5 minutes of burpees, and kind of switch through those and just keep my heart rate where I want it to be, just to, stave off some of that boredom that you would get in there.
That's
But
basically what we did in the hotel. And like that's when I did 5 minutes of burpees, and then I would do like lunges and then go do something else. And you can even do bear crawls if you have enough space.
yeah, and I've been in this situation not because I didn't have, well, yeah, it's been in hotel situations, but the reason I can't run has nothing to do with weather. It's because like I'll have kids, I have like my
Mhm.
children, and so I can't just leave them in the hotel and take off on a run. So I've been traveling alone with my boys before, and this has happened. And yeah, I just do burpees. Like I don't hate burpees as much as other people do too, though. You can do burpees like fairly slow to where they don't suck as much, and you can keep it in zone 2. If you're trying to do burpees as fast as you can, which is typically how I see people doing burpees, yeah, they start to suck real fast. But if you're just kind of laying down on the ground and getting back up slowly, it's a burpee. You'll be in zone 2. It won't even take a lot for you to be in zone 2. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No. So I'm going to ask you, what should they start saving up for? Like, what's the
Bike,
one piece of equipment they should have?
stationary
Bike.
bike, I think is a spin bike, because they come in all different um calibers and prices. You can get like you can get a decent, like an okay one for 150 bucks or something, or even
Hmm.
like a used one. And then from there, if you want to spring for a little bit more, get a heavier wheel and whatnot. But I think the bike is the best thing to go with, because it's going to be the best and easiest price point. It's going to have the most variety of what you can do. Like you can do the 30 seconds sprints on them. I guess on a high resistance might be a little bit, not as great. But like I said, if you can do any sort of jumping or burpees, that's your 30 seconds right there, any sort of body weight stuff. But a minute or long, or any longer, like 50 minutes for conditioning, then a bike is going to be all you need.
Yeah. And I
And
would,
base wise, you typically
what would you say, space wise?
base wise typically is somewhat fine. It doesn't stand up like a rower, but it's not going to take the footprint of like a treadmill, and they're typically easier to maneuver around.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I think everyone's thinking when they're thinking cardio equipment. They're just thinking about like the powerhouse ones that are pretty expensive, like anything Concept 2 or like the Rogue Airdyne or and speaking of that, I wouldn't get one of those like Walmart Airdynes, to Joe's point. I would get like a stationary bike. So there's a difference between like an air bike where you're moving arms and legs only. So I would just get a stationary bike because I feel like that technology is so simple that you can get a cheap one and it will last for a while. Like Joe said, you can get like a one for 150 bucks on Amazon, which is very low in the cardio equipment world because that range, they go up to like $5,000 for some of these treadmills that are out on the market. And so, yeah, I would definitely get a bike. We mentioned having a rope, which like that's the cheapest option, right? Have getting a jump rope and a bike. And then if you had to save up for something a little bit more expensive, I would recommend anything from the Concept 2 family. Like they have a bike, they have a ski erg, and they have a rower. And they range from, I think the ski erg is like 750, 770, something like that. And then I don't know, I think the bike is the most expensive on theirs. It's at like 950, so closer to 1,000. But I have all three, and they're like indestructible. Like Concept 2 is just, they are a great company. I've had my rower for, it may be 10 years now. Like, I think it's as old as William, and William is 9. So almost 10 years.
Wow.
So yeah. And I've had like zero problems with it, zero problems with the rower ever. And so,
You cleaned it?
yeah, I've cleaned the chain and
Okay.
stuff. Like, I am actually thinking about getting the new PM5 monitor on it. I still have like the old one, but
Oh yeah.
I just haven't seen a need for a new Like, are you going to tell me how many meters I'm rowing on a lit up screen instead of
I
a
was gonna say
non-lit
it
up
lights
screen?
up.
I don't work out in the dark often, so it's just like not a very useful feature. I'm going to be in the garage with the lights off just so I can use this
Yeah,
PM5
it's
feature.
like, don't worry, I got this. It's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, I would say get something cheap on Amazon, and then if you did want to start saving up with a swear jar or whatever, then go the Concept 2 family. I just think that if you are going to invest that money, that's like the best place to go, because I think it would just suck to that's the only problem with buying the lower end things is like, say you spent 150, but it lasted a year and you had to replace it and you did it again. So now you're out 300, and then maybe that one lasts 2 years. And now, it just, the replacement cost is a real thing. That's why I tend to buy like more expensive, high quality equipment. Cause when you've been doing it long enough, you realize when you do buy the cheap stuff, you're like, I'm going to spend more when I have to replace this thing in 3 years. And so, but if you need like a more immediate solution, super easy there, other than kind of the body weight stuff we said.
Yeah. When we got our bike, I wanted because I don't like buying really cheap stuff because you just have to replace it and you'll end up spending more in the long run.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely a proponent of get what you pay for. But we're also not cyclists. We use the bike a lot, but I did some research and I bought like a medium tier. I bought like really good reviews, really solid bike, and it was like $400, which is still lower on the lower end of cardio equipment. And I think it was even like $100 off at the time that I bought it too. So there's definitely a ton of options for those out there, especially on Amazon. There's a bunch of ratings lists. But the last.
No, I was just gonna say, like a lot of these things, when you're getting into that price range, let's say like 400 and above, a lot of these things you'll find at actual gyms, like Globo gyms. I know that's true of all like the Concept 2 machines as well. So they're built to be used almost every second of the day by dozens of people per day, if not more. And so that's why when you're buying a cardio piece of equipment for your gym, it's going to last forever. Because if you're like the only one, or you and your spouse are the only ones using that thing, it'll outlast you, in a lot of cases. It's only when you buy like, $75 Airdyne at Walmart, it's like, come on, how long do you really think that's going to last? Like you're going to do one hard workout and it's it's going to break. So what was the last thing you wanted to cover?
Yeah, the last thing is depending on like the reasons for not being able to run outside vary. And I know some of them, like we said, with the cold, and it's not even just the cold. Some people they're early risers, so it's dark, and with the cold, things are frozen. They don't want to hit a puddle of ice and things like that. So I think another option is weighted carries or weighted like a ruck, because you can go slow. The pacing is slower. You can do it a bit safer. You can wear boots and just throw on a heavy backpack and go for a nice brisk walk, and you're going to get your heart rate up there. It's going to be a bit safer. And if you just happen to have kids as well, you can push them in a stroller.
Yeah. And depending on how much space you have in your garage, like you could do a sled, like a sled pull, like
Or
arms
bear hug.
only. Yeah. Cause like, I'm not talking about like a full sled push. Cause like if you only have 20 feet, that's going to be kind of silly. But if you're like doing a pull and then like you run to the other side and then you pull it back, like that's going to be a great conditioning workout pretty fast. So that's about it on the tips there. Yeah. There are a lot of reasons you can't run. I've definitely been in situations in my garage too, where I can't run because Emily might be gone, 3 kids at the house. I'm fitting in a workout, but I'm not going to leave them and go off on a 5-mile run, So yeah, there are a lot of reasons that you could not run or whatever. So hopefully we've helped you solve this problem somewhat, and you guys can still get it done out there. But if you guys do have any other problems you want us to cover or do a specific video on or anything like that, please let us know. Facebook group is best. You can also hit us up on our support channels if you go to garagedymathlete.com and submit a problem, and we will cover it. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching or listening.